If you thought Europe had seen all of the Chinese electric car brands that there is to see, you'd be wrong, because I've got yet another one for you. And for the first time on the channel, we're going to be driving the European version on Chinese roads. This is Inside China Auto, and this is the Exlantix ET. Ooh. Yes, this is the Exlantix ET, and as I mentioned in the intro, this is the European version of this car. This literally rolled off the production line 2 days ago and was delivered to me here in China. It's not even in Europe yet, but it will be getting sold in Norway in 2025 and then expanding across continental Europe and the Middle East as well. Now let's play a quick game of spot the difference. This is a video of the front of the ET in Europe, and this is a video of the front of the ET in China. Did you see the difference? Yeah, the main difference is here at the front. In China, the headlamp unit is more triangular with LED pixels in there to show graphics and things. You also get more of a concave front end on the car, whereas in Europe, we get these kind of vertically stacked headlamps there in a rectangular shape and this waterfall grille across the front. Now the question is, who is Exlantix? You may never have heard of them. If you've heard of Amoda and Jayco, they're parts of the Chery group. Well, Exlantix, or Exceed, as they're called here in China, is part of the same Chery group. And this is their premium NEV brand, or new energy brand. What does that mean? That means that they offer electric and hybrid cars. But this is an extended range electric car. You don't get many of those in Europe, so most people don't really know what they are. Let me explain. We get a 1.5 litre engine under the bonnet here that does not power the wheels. No power goes to the wheels from that. That only charges the 40 kilowatt hour battery in the car, and the battery pushes energy to the electric motors on the front and rear axles. So this car drives like an electric car, but gives you the range of a petrol car or a plug-in hybrid. And many people like these in China. They're a great jumping off point for those who don't really want to go fully electric yet, but want to feel what fully electric is like. So that's what the ET is. Now, let me talk about the styling a little bit, because for me, it's a little bit derivative, this one. It looks, this daytime running light here, very similar to that on the Xpeng G9. And the overall proportions, a 2-row, 5-seat, large SUV, quite rounded, not very defined, just look a little bit similar to those other cars out there on the market. Certainly not as exciting as the Exlantix ES. Let me show you a clip of that over the top. That is a sexy looking car. We've also got quite big domes here on the bonnet. They do make it fairly difficult to position this car when you're driving it, but fortunately we do get a 540-degree camera, so you can position it quite easily in car parks and see what is around you. Now under this bonnet on our car, we have the 1.5 litre engine. On the electric version, which I'm not sure whether that's going to Europe, you get a 60 litre washable frunk in there, which is quite useful. One thing we don't get on the European version is a LiDAR on top of the screen. In China, we get a LiDAR version, which gives you access to the city, urban, autonomous driving functions, basically. Obviously, they're not available in Europe just yet. We do get 20-inch alloys down here. They're fairly attractive. You'll notice also the red brake calipers. They're quite sporty. And this is Chery's premium brand, which means we get some premium features on this car as well. Pop-out door handles for aero. You'll notice frameless windows. These are double glazed on the front and on the back and on the windscreen as well, so it gives you a nice quiet ride inside. But what you'll also notice is they are also power closed doors, and they have the soft close function as well. So if your kids don't close the door properly all the time, this one will help you do it. But they're not only powered on the front, they're also powered on the rear as well. That's pretty neat. So you can even press a button inside the car to close the door electronically, or you can even talk to the car and close all the doors at the same time. How neat is that? Let me show you something else as well. I never thought I'd have to use one of these in China, but there you go. This is an adapter. It's basically the exact same at both ends, but this allows me to use a European car and charge it on a slow charger here in China. So basically you guys have a plug in Europe where we have a socket. Interesting. But there you go. Fuel tank on this side, 60 litre fuel tank in this car. As I said, fairly nondescript styling at the front. That kind of continues at the rear. At the back again, fairly jelly mold-like styling, no real definition, just round sort of bulbous surfaces. I do quite like the daytime running light with these twin red lights here, one of which expands all the way across the back. But apart from that, nothing too sharp. Exlantix lettering on the back there. You've got a rear window wiper concealed under the spoiler. And then you've got to work out how to get into the boot because there are no buttons. You can't swipe your foot. So where is the boot lid button? Press the I on Exlantix and that opens your boot lid. So an electronic tailgate there for a very useful 546 litres in the back here. And you may notice we also have a parcel shelf, which most Chinese don't tend to use, but of course in Europe we use those quite a lot. So a very usable space. We also get electronic powered rear seats. So I can press these two buttons here and the rear seats will fold down electronically by themselves. While they're going down, I'll show you a little bit of space under the boot floor. Probably a few extra litres down there. It's quite shallow, about 9 or 10 centimetres of space in a kind of a flat area there. You got speakers on both sides, probably a bass unit I would guess on this side, 12-volt socket there as well, and then you can press these two buttons to bring those two rear seats back up again. So yeah, fairly useful space, also some hooks as well to tie down a net. Now one thing I don't know about the ET is whether they're planning to offer it with a tow bar, because I know a lot of Europeans like to have a tow bar on their cars. As of yet, no information on that. But that's the styling of the ET. Let's check out the inside. That wide body design on the exterior of the ET certainly makes for a very spacious interior in here, and especially in this white colour does feel very, very lovely indeed. A lot of premium materials too, soft touch stuff on top of the dashboard, really all the way down to the bottom down there. The only place you get plastic is in the bottom of the doors, and here where you get this kind of fake silver birch style material. Feels a bit like rattan, like you get in a Neo, but it's made of plastic. Does look quite uplifting, and again, lots of lovely materials. Also microfiber, by the way, on the roof lining as well. So it's a lovely interior. In terms of technology, we get a few things in this car. We get a 10.25-inch screen ahead of us. You'll notice that it sits really quite high and quite far back on the dashboard there. They call it a semi-head-up display because it does help to keep your eyes much closer to the road. You also do, by the way, get an actual head-up display literally right behind it. So not entirely sure on the size. They haven't told us how big it is, but it is very clear. You can put it in snow mode as well, so you can still see it in the snow, and you can get your navigation instructions and things on that as well. In the middle, we get ourselves a 15.6-inch 2.5K screen. Very nice and bright, lovely resolution on that. A lot of functions built into this, some of which are in the Chinese version, some of which are in the European version. In the European version, the one you're going to want to know about is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They're already built in there, so you're covered, whether you have phones from either side of the divide. You also get, of course, access to loads of other features in here as well, one of which is the electric glove box. You can pop that open there. You can put a password on that as well, so you can make sure no one else can get into there. And to the sunshade as well. We get a really large panoramic roof in here. I've seen different numbers, some that say 1.27 square meters, some that say 2.56 square meters. It is massive, and you can close the electric sunshade as far as you want it, which is great. Again, good system in here. A lot of other features that are related to the seats actually built into here, one of which is the Queen seat mode. So if I go into the settings here, click on commonly used, go on zero gravity seat there, and you'll see what happens now is this front seat slides backwards, tilts on its axis, and the leg rest down here starts to pop out, and then it will recline. You can put more recline angle on that if you want to as well, and basically have a lovely relaxing seat here in the front of the car. Really quite nice premium feature on the ET. And I can press that button and make it all come back together again, so we don't need it. Now, as you can see, no buttons, so a lot of things buried into the screen here. You have to work out where everything is, but all the easy stuff is on the front page or on this drag down function from the top. You've also, of course, got things like your intelligent parking, your 360-degree camera as well, so you can go in 3D here, and you can spin that around. It is 540 degrees, they say, because it also looks up and a little bit under the car as well at the same time. There's your automatic parking function on there. So a really good system. What we don't get is the Lion AI Chat GPT style system where you can talk to the car and also it'll answer different questions and things like that for you. But I do believe that might be possible in future over-the-air updates because they are doing it in different languages. And I have tried it and it does work. So that's good. Now, Coming onto the seat, we do get good seats. These do have long base cushions, so they go right up to the back of my leg there. No base cushion extension, but you won't need it on these seats. They are 12-way adjustable, both of these two. So up and down, forwards and backwards, tilt angle adjustment as well, and obviously 4-way lumbar support. You also get heating, ventilation, and massage on both the two front seats and both of the two outer rear seats as well as standard. And of course you do get a head-up display, a kind of a adjustable headrest on there as well. Big wide headrests on these, really soft and squidgy. And on this car you get speakers in the headrest as well. That's because you get a 23 speaker sound system. You'll see those speakers dotted all over the car, even on the roof up there and in the boot as well. 23 speakers, 2,160 watts of output on those. Really quite cool. You got a tweeter up there on the dashboard with a lovely kind of snowflake design on the front. It also has ambient lighting, so we also get 256 color ambient lighting all around the car. You can do it two-tone, you can make it pulse to the music, so a lovely interior ambience created by the lighting in here. We also get in here fragrance pots, so we got 3 fragrance pots there underneath the screen. You can get different smells in there. The one I've currently got on is tea after the mountain rain or something like that, and it really smells quite lovely, so that's nice. USB-C and USB-A sockets down there as well. You may have noticed that we don't have this dashboard here connecting to the center console, so it's all open here, and while that does make it look like you can walk through there, you can't. It's really not very easy. I'm not going to disgrace myself by showing you that, but what it does do, give you really easy access to a big storage area there under the dashboard. May be good for people who have really big handbags. I believe they're quite popular these days, so very easy to get those in there, much easier than on the cars where it's kind of tucked into a small space, let's say. Maybe that's what XE were going for, I'm not sure. Maybe targeting the female audience with this car, or men who also have big handbags in some cases. You also get here twin cup holders as well. Decent amount of storage space in there that's air conditioned. A 50-watt wireless charger on here that's also ventilated, and of course your door pockets as well. Of course we get the electronic door releases, so you press that, opens the door, give it a bit of a push and it will go all the way open. Press your brake pedal and the door comes back in like that. We do get also this little oval steering wheel, which I do like. You get a few buttons on there and roller wheel functionality. Also, you can change your driving modes and things. What I also like is that you get these white stalks. A lot of companies don't bother changing the stalks to match the car. On XE, they've gone with the white stalks for the white interior, which is really lovely. And that is the front of the car. Hey, thank you very much for watching the video. If you're enjoying it so far, do please give it a thumbs up so more people can see it. And if you want to see more great cars like this in your timeline more often, do consider pressing the subscribe button as well. We've got a lot more where this comes from. Back to the video. In the back of the ET, again, absolutely tons of space. Loads of footroom down there under the front seat. Acres of knee room, really long base cushions, give you full thigh support along there. Plenty of headroom as well, even with that electronic sunshade up there. But it gets better than that because we've also got electronic backrest angle adjustment, so you can recline and chill out a little bit here as well. Bear in mind, it doesn't go back quite as far if these seats are all the way back and the parcel shelf is in place. But that's not a problem because you can also electronically slide these seats 60/40 forwards and backwards as well by a good 20 centimeters or so. You'll see, look at all that adjustment there. Now, I've even still got plenty of leg room behind the front of this seat there, but now I can put the backrest angle down to its fullest extent, which is good. You also get a bit of space under these seats as well for extra gubbins and things like that that you might want to store on a long journey. These seats, as I mentioned, also come with heating, ventilation and massage as standard. So you get your heating and ventilation on this little screen down here. Your massage functions are accessible via the button on the side, and you can cycle through the different options that they give you as well. I believe there's 10 different massage options included. We also get here an armrest in the back with a pair of cup holders, of course. Also on this screen down here, you can control your tri-zone climate control. So you can change the temperature and fan speed into the back of the car. You can also play with the music as well and change that in there. And as I mentioned, you also get those electronic doors. So I'll push that all the way out like that. I press this button here and the door comes in electronically like that. Wonderful, very nice. Also, we get on the back of the front seats here, It says Mag Pro. That means that Exlantix are going to be coming up with some accessories that allow you to magnetize items onto the back of there, such as tablets or phones, things like that, so you can stay fully entertained in the back of your car. And we get some seat pockets in there as well. 3 pockets, 2 inside this larger one here. Because I'm a dad, I should also mention the Isofix seat mountings. They're underneath this Velcro patch here. And there you go, really easy access to those bars there. Actually, some of the easiest that I've seen. This is exactly how you should do Isofix mountings. That's a note to everybody else. So yeah, loads of functionality, loads of comfort, loads of space. It's really nice to sit in this car. Is it as good to drive? Let's find out. On the road, the ET is a very easy car to get along with. It feels big, feels comfortable, feels squishy. It's also quite brisk as well. Put your foot down in eco mode and it will put you in the back of your seat. In sport mode, it's even faster still. It will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4.9 seconds, which is 0.6 of a second faster than a Li Auto with a very similar drivetrain setup. So it does feel very brisk. That being said, it is not a sporty car by any measure, so don't even think that it is. It's very much oriented around comfort and a very lovely ride. Peaceful inside. You'll notice, by the way, the engine is on, but you can't hear it. It's been really well sound insulated out there, so you're not getting any noise in the back, in the cabin here from the engine, which is really very good. The car does come with air suspension and continuous damping control, and 90% of the time, maybe a bit more, it works really, really well. It gives you a lovely, soft and supple ride. It will iron out most of the bumps. There are no thuds or knocks or anything like that when you get the big bumps. What I would say is, though, when the road surface is a bit broken up and a bit choppy, it does get a little bit more fidgety than some other air suspension systems. So it's not quite as refined, not quite as composed as some others, but nevertheless, very, very comfortable. And that air suspension will go up by 50 millimeters and down by 30, so you can do a bit of off-roading if you want to. You can put it into off-road mode here on the system, or even sand mode. And of course, if you put it into eco mode, it will go down by 20 millimeters to give you more energy efficiency, and will do the same thing when it detects that you're on the motorway as well. So it's a really good system. It's very nice and soft and squishy. The steering itself also really kind of more comfort oriented. It's very light, very easy to use. It gets a bit more weight if you put it into sport mode, but it's not really particularly precise. It's just kind of very standard kind of comfort Chinese oriented, and for most people that's going to be absolutely fine. It's not quite as precise or as heavy as something like a Zeekr 7X, for example. So if you want a car that feels a little bit more sporty, a bit more dynamic, maybe the ET won't be the car for you, but it is. It's a lovely car. It feels very comfortable, really easy to drive, and as I said, very brisk with that electric drivetrain. We do get on this car dual motors, one on the back, which I believe is 190 kilowatts, one on the front, which is 150 kilowatts, 350 in total, and about 680 newton meters of torque, I think. I'll give you the exact figure at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, it's an electric car in all but the engine, charging the battery, and it works really well. Now, in terms of the efficiency, they claim that on WLTC it should do 17.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and I think 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. I will go into our vehicle status screen here and tell you what we've been doing in the same time. We've done 151 kilometers with this car. We're currently at 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers, so we're under the WLTC figure there, which is good. And we've only used 10.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers on the energy side. So we're actually doing very well. We're ahead of the WLTC figures in this car at the moment. They say it should do 180 kilometers of EV only range, and you can switch to put it into EV only, or to hybrid mode, or to using the engine only if you want. So whichever way you want to do it. It will do a total comprehensive range of 1,180 kilometers, which again is pretty good, and it gives you that electric driving experience, but for longer distances. Yes, you'll have to go to petrol stations, but if you have a charger at home and you don't want to use the engine, you can just use that on longer trips. You can go into EV only mode and live purely on electricity, which is great. This car just under 2.5 tons, by the way, in terms of weight, so it is a bit of a hefty bugger, but as I said, because of the electric drivetrain, you won't even realise that that is the case. You do get some level of autonomous driving on this. You get cruise control, you get lane keeping assist and things like that. You don't get the urban autonomous function that you get in China, of course, but it's a fairly decent system. It's been developed with Bosch. I think it's the same level 2 system that is on a lot of the European cars at the moment. So if you're satisfied with those, you'll be satisfied with this one. In terms of prices, this car in China costs as little
as 189,000 RMB. I'll give you the exact figure and the currency conversions at the bottom, and it goes up to about 310,000 RMB, I think, for the all singing, all dancing version. I don't know what the European price is going to be. They haven't given us any information on that. It will, of course, be more expensive than it is here in China, but I'm afraid I don't have that information for you at the moment. So yeah, overall, it's a really lovely car to drive. Quiet, composed, nice and quick. A lot of functionality in the system, and at this point in my driving experience with it, it does seem like it's quite efficient at the same time. So it's a lovely car, really, really good. Hopefully the prices will look pretty good in Europe as well, and more people might be interested in checking out an Exlantix dealership.
So that's it for our review of the Exlantix ET, a very impressive, luxurious SUV coming from China to Europe. Now, while this car isn't that much to look at in terms of my personal tastes, though I do think the angle that you're looking from is the best angle of this car, it's nevertheless an impressive car, especially inside. It's got a luxurious, practical and comfortable interior with a lot of tech in there. It's also very refined and quiet at the same time. But the most interesting thing about this car is, of course, what is under here. I'm not sure there are any extended range electric cars in Europe at the moment, but they are a great way to get people into electric cars who are the ones who want to take baby steps and don't want to make that initial leap straight away. And I think if Exlantix can market this car in that way and price it well, could well be a game changer for the European market. And trust me, there are many more extended range electric cars where this one came from heading your way. Thank you very much for watching. If you do, thank you for subscribing. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up so more people can see the very interesting cars coming out of China. And as ever, we'll catch you next time.